Today we are talking about how to turn loneliness into aloneness, Dr. Mathebula Mathebula. And then talking about that, Dr. Mathebula Mathebula, even before we start, because I like quoting, and what is it that Mother Teresa said about loneliness and feeling of being unwanted, Dr. Mathebula?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I'm glad you brought it up. She said that loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty.
Poverty, Dr. Mathebula Mathebula.
Yeah, that's what she said.
And so and then she went on to say something about a disease called leprosy and tuberculosis, Dr. Mathebula Mathebula.
Yeah, she said the biggest disease is not leprosy or TB, but rather the feeling of being unwanted.
Yeah, the feeling of feeling so lonely even when there are people around you. It so happened that we were talking to Tabile Mange earlier on. We were talking about a book called, Barren and Still Blessed. Black Barren and Still Blessed. Now, Dr. Mathebula Mathebula, what is loneliness?
This is my definition of loneliness. According to me, I define loneliness as a condition that you find yourself in, but you do not desire to be in that condition. Simply put, you find yourself being entangled in a web, but you don't want to find yourself in that web. But you happen to be in that web. You are subjected to that web. That is loneliness.
And being lonely is actually a very terrible things. And obviously, you do find a lot of artists, also reggae artists as well, singing about loneliness, Dr. Mathebula Mathebula, and temptations.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of artists have actually touched on the question of loneliness as well as, temptation. And then people try by all means to avoid loneliness by, affiliating to groups. They try by all means when they feel that, they're facing loneliness, they do something about their situation.
Is there a way in which when you are lonely, you will feel like you've got power or you feel disempowered, Dr. Mathebula?
Absolutely. Loneliness is disempowerment because you are craving for company, but the company is not there. As I said, loneliness is a condition. You find yourself in a particular condition.
Now, is there any reason why, Dr. Mathebula Mathebula, people actually feel lonely or why people are lonely?
Yeah, well, there are a myriad of reasons why people are lonely. Firstly, the death of your spouse. You'd actually find that you are married or you are in a relationship and then your partner dies. And then we're used to this person, you're used to sharing your life with this person, and eventually that person is no longer there. And then now you'll be exposed to loneliness. And in the majority of cases, I've realized that when a man loses his wife, who was very close or nearest and dearest to him, they tend to be very, very lonely. To an extent of, most of them, they'll actually say to you that, I wish I had died, not my wife. Because another thing is the wife used to do things for you. And then the things that she used to do for you, you can't do for yourself. You miss her and you become lonely and you become miserable.
Followed by?
Relationship breakdown or breakup. If you break up you are in a relationship and you break up with a particular person. You're used to be together, you're used to do things together, and then all of a sudden the relationship is no longer there. All of a sudden the woman is no longer there or the man is no longer there. And then loneliness creeps in. You are craving to be with this person, but you can't be with that person anymore. And then now you become lonely. And another thing for parents, parents are used to socializing kids in their own house. And at times when kids are growing up, parents are not even aware that their kids are growing up. And then when your child leaves the nest, it's then that you realize that you are lonely. More often than not, you are staying and you extend your house with the view that your children will always be there. and all of a sudden you have extended your house. 2 years down the line, your children have left the nest. You are left with the big house, but the children are no longer there. And then now loneliness creeps in.
Okay.
Also, being in a new environment can create loneliness. I mean, I've been to different countries overseas, attending conferences. And Stan, I know you have been to different countries overseas. I mean, you land in America and the United States, in New York, JF Kennedy. And then from there, you go to the hotel. And then there's no one you know there. And then you are missing home, you are missing your family, you are missing your colleagues and the like. And then loneliness creeps in. That's why I often say to people who have never been overseas and say, hey, I want to take a position in the UK. Okay, it's good to get a position, but you don't actually understand the amount of loneliness over there. You know, you are in a new environment, or maybe you move into a new area, you know, and you don't know anyone in that area. Loneliness will creep in. Or eventually, or what I'll call a commutual relationship. A commutual relationship is a relationship whereby partners are poles apart. Your wife is in KZN, you are in Polokwane. And then maybe you meet after 2 weeks, you could fly to KZN, or she flies over, you know, whatever arrangement. Now, in a commutual relationship, there is a question of loneliness, because more often than not, you'd actually spend time being alone. Your wife will spend time alone. You spend time alone. Now, a commuter marriage or a commuter relationship would actually result in some loneliness in one way or the other.
So what is it that one could do to counteract loneliness, Dr. Mathebula?
Oh, it's a very difficult question. You know, but I think you can counteract loneliness by aloneness.
Okay.
Aloneness is different from loneliness. You know, as I said to you, loneliness is a condition that puts you in an entangled web.
Okay.
But aloneness is a decision. You decide to be alone. You know, and then the only way to counter loneliness is to commune with yourself and be alone. For example, His Holiness Jesus the Christ, more often than not, would leave the crowd and he'd go to a mountain and pray and the like. That was part of aloneness. He was not lonely, he was alone.
So, Dr. Mathebula, what do you do when you are alone?
What do you do when you are alone? You remind me of a quote. You know, a certain person once said that a man is what he thinks, a man is what he eats, a man is what he loves, a man is what he thinks when he's alone, and you are what you are. You know? Now, in other words, when you're alone, you reflect about life and about the lives of other people holistically. You get into a philosophical mode because you are now alone. You are now communing with yourself. You are now communing with God. Now you start reflecting upon yourself. You start reflecting upon life. You start reflecting upon when they talk about floods in KZN and people start praying and say, let us pray for God to do something. You start actually reflecting and understand that those floods were not caused by God. They were caused by us, you know, by polluting the environment, by being corrupt, by not fixing the infrastructure and the like. Now you start reflecting. You start thinking about things. And then you start to meditate and pray. You start to meditate. You know, there is a question of meditation. You can meditate upon yourself. That's why if you read the Bible, most of the people who met God, they were alone. God does not meet people in a crowd. Now you start meditating and you start praying earnestly. And also you generate ideas in silence. You know, when you are quiet, when you are communing with yourself, so many ideas, they come up. You end up coming up with a brilliant idea of reggae music. The mere fact that you are busy doing that show now, you didn't actually think about that show in a crowd. You were alone, not lonely, when that idea was conceived.
Now I can understand the difference, yes.
Yeah. And when you are alone, you can read and you can write. And you can ask yourself questions and say, but Stan, why are you doing that? Stan, why are you still in this relationship? You know, you can ask a lot of questions. And also you can ask God questions and say, God, why are you doing this? Why is this happening to my life? And it's an added benefit because we are closer to God when we're asking questions than when we think we've got the answers.
Now, Dr. Mathebula, before we finish this off, we've got advices from Mars. So obviously, Mars has to actually do some advice. What are the 2 advice that you have from Mars?
Stan, you know, you and I are from Mars and women are from Venus. And always we need to empower them, you know? And then that's why now we don't have the vocabulary cabinet anymore, as well as our codable codes. We don't have.
We don't have codable codes, and then we don't have vocabulary cabinet. Yes.
Yeah, we have got wisdom from Mars, and the first thing is that women should ask his opinion frequently. You know? Like when you are in a relationship with a man, because of the ego that the man has, always you need to ask his opinion frequently. Papa, what do you think about it? What do you think about that? What do you think about what is happening in KZN? What do you think about the president? What do you think about the EFF? Ask his opinion frequently. And when you do that, he feels great. And also value what he says. You know, when he says something, you know, value it. And one day quote him and say, Papa, I still remember what you said the other time. You said, you know, you quoted Martin Luther King and he said, the highest measure of man is not where he stands when life is rosy, but during times of challenge and controversy. You are turning him on. Because you value what he says. Because you value what he says.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Mathebula, right here at VMC Planet Radio on the Roots Rock or Reggae. And Dr. Mathebula is feeling irie. He's feeling, he's got reggae myelitis.
It's gone now.
Yeah, he's feeling everything.
Now it's gone. The reggae myelitis is gone.
Yeah, I have reggae myelitis. Yeah.
No, the reggae myelitis must not go.
Oh, it must go.
It must not go.
It must not go.
There.
So reggae myelitis must not go. It must still stay there because I see you also have reggae myelitis. I've got reggae myelitis.
Exactly.
So it flows.
You know what? We are not going to cure it because we are moving from the paradise from cure to care.
From cure to care. And we are
we are here because we care.
We are here because we care. You see, it's a rhyme. And we found a way of living with our reggae myelitis.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Dr. Mathebula, thank you so very much. We are on the World Wide Web. I'm trying to open here. I cannot be able to see some. There's a bit of a challenge here with, I think it's a network. I can see there's something in that came when we were talking about the advice from Mars. You can even hear something is coming in, but I don't know what is actually happening. But thank you so much, Dr. Mathebula. We have reggae myelitis right here at VMC Planet Radio.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dr. Mathebula.
Thanks. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.